My name is Damalare Sonoiki, and this is Not Another Industry Podcast, an excuse for me to talk to the most inspiring people in the entertainment industry. So, actors, artists, producers, directors, entrepreneurs, everyone in between. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, all the engagement verbs, any of them that I'm forgetting, rate, review, those two as well. This is a conversation with Jackson Pace. Jackson is an actor. He was in the Showtime television series Homeland, where he played Chris Brody. But he also played Gage in the AMC hit series The Walking Dead. And he's been in everything from Barney and Friends to CSI to The Walking Dead, Grace and Frankie. I already said The Walking Dead first, but Grace and Frankie, 911, Lone Star, just everything. Here is Jackson Pace. All right, man. Jackson, you've got this amazing beard. I didn't know you were capable of this.
Yeah, no, I didn't either for a moment. Yeah, started during the pandemic. Every time I have a self tape, I have to shave it. So anytime I have like a few weeks where I'm not getting anything, I just let it go. But I like to enjoy it as long as I can.
I feel like I assume actors have self tapes like all the time.
Most of the time, yeah. But then there's especially around like Christmas time and Thanksgiving, all the holidays, it kind of just goes silent, radio silent. For the most part, it's like it really depends on the time of year, man. I feel like it's always crazy. Maybe if you're lucky, like one or two a week.
Okay. I mean, well, I feel like, okay,
Yeah.
so first of all, do you feel like you were destined to be an actor because your name is Jackson Pace?
Is that a good actor name?
It's like, oh, it's a very good actor name. It feels like the type of name where, like, you ever see an actor and like you Google them, it's like, oh, that's not their real name. Like they changed their name
Yeah,
to something that like
yeah,
sounds actory. Like Jackson Pace
yeah,
feels very like, it feels like, like
yeah.
coming this fall, like
Maybe there was
Jackson
some planning
Pace.
ahead. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I not. I man. No, I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't. I think I was destined to be like a creative because I literally don't know what else I would do. Like, it's literally the only thing I feel like confident in. Part of me. Um, I guess the name helps a lot for sure. I think
Yeah,
that gives me some of my superpowers.
yeah, I think the name does help a lot. Like it feels very much like an action movie, like Jackson Pace,
Yeah,
like. But
yeah,
I have
man.
another question before we get into it. So like you've stared into Timothy Chalamet's eyes. Like what was that like? Did you like fall in
I
love?
have
Like what was it
stared
like
into
looking
Timothy.
into his eyes?
I have, man. I was young. It was a long time ago. I wish I could recall what it was like. Um, but I mean, the
Like
dude, you just,
butterflies.
yeah, there must have been some butterflies, something going on. Um, oh man, it's been really cool to watch his career where it's gone though. It's insane. Have you seen
Yeah.
Bones and All?
No, I haven't. I haven't really. I just it's like almost like a meme. Like people, I feel like he's just like he reminds me of like the guys who girls liked when I was in college. Like I feel
Uh,
like coming from like I grew up like kind of like in a black area, diverse area, and like the cool guys were like the guys who girls liked were very much like masculine, athletic gang members. And I got to
yeah,
college, and like Harvard's very much like like the like the sort of Euro, like you smoke cigarettes and like you kind of like
yeah,
tussle your hair and like like
yeah,
it was a
definitely.
very different aesthetic. But I mean,
Oh,
we're
it's
not here to talk about
changing,
Tim.
man.
Yeah, yeah, it's changing.
Yeah,
Like
it's
what? I mean, you
yeah,
like Pete Davidson, a little. I mean, he's tall, but
yeah.
we're not here to talk about Timothy Chalamet or Pete Davidson. So I like the way I envision this podcast is like there's gonna be somebody out there right now who's like, oh, like I want to do what Jackson Pace does. Like he seems like he has a cool life, and so it's like walk them through like what steps you took. Like how did you get here? Like how did you get to where you
Man,
are?
it's honestly, it's just a lot of no's, a lot of being okay with the no's. Um, I've been doing it since I was a kid, so I guess my mom always said to me like, I don't know how you're still doing this. If I was you, like I would have stopped a long time ago. Because it's really it's difficult. Not only do you have to um want to do it very badly, but you have to be okay with people saying that you're not right for their role, or you're it's honestly just a lot of perseverance. It's It's a lot of putting yourself out there. It's a lot of trying, wacky things.
Yeah.
It's a
No,
lot of hard
I remember
work.
thinking,
Yeah.
yeah, I remember thinking acting was easy because, like, working on Blackish, right? Like,
Yeah.
good actors make it look easy. Like, Anthony Anderson, Tracy Ellis Ross, Lawrence Fishburne, Yara, like,
Right.
and I've had to say everybody, Marseille, Marcus, am I forgetting someone? Oh, Miles. Like, everyone makes it look really easy. And I remember one
It's
time I
so
wrote something because
impressive.
I thought, okay, yeah, I remember I wrote something because I thought, oh, like I was producing something, and I thought, okay, I'll do the kind of Issa Rae like sort of thing where you write something and you cast yourself, like the Lena
Yeah.
Dunham Issa Rae thing. And I remember like acting in something like it was like a short, and I remember I was just like so bad, like I just wasn't good
Bro.
at all. Like, I was like,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I just thought like, okay, you have to memorize the words, but it's not just memorizing the words. It's like memorizing, oh, I said this as I was sitting down, and that takes, so I have to say it as I'm sitting down. And this, like, it's memorizing the words and memorizing the actions as you're saying. Like,
Yeah.
it was too much. It was too much for me.
And trying
My
to make
acting
it,
career ended that
uh,
day.
yeah. And trying to make it come out natural and stuff. Like I am so tough on myself in terms of acting. Like I feel much more confident when I'm just creating something.
Oh, yeah,
Or
because you write as
or
well,
like
right?
yeah, I write a little bit, and that's kind of where I want to like producing and writing and directing. I feel really really confident and comfortable with it. But yeah, you're right. Like acting is a different beast, and I've been since I was a kid. I've been doing it, but it still gives me so much anxiety, and I still am like super hard on myself. So yeah, I'm very impressed by actors.
Oh
It's a
yeah, like,
different
well,
ball
you're
game.
also you're putting yourself out there. You're like giving yourself the opportunity to look silly in front of others. Like it's
Yeah,
not it's not for the faint of heart. So yeah, so walk me through. I saw I did a little Wikipedia, a little googling. So at 3 years
yeah.
old, you got cast in like a Disney in like a Disney thing.
Man, I was doing Barney at a young age. So I think it was definitely later than
You
three.
make it sound like a
Um,
drug. Like I was doing Barney. Me and the guys, we were
yeah,
doing some
yeah. I
Barney.
was I was super into Barney at the time. Yeah. No, yeah. I was in Barney. Man, how maybe like six. I I I guess that's around that age. And it's just something that I always asked my mom. Like I was like, I want to act. Like I want to be on TV. I want to like do this.
Well, and you're from
And
Florida,
so
right?
yeah, so I was born in Florida, but we moved to Texas well, when I was two. So I don't really identify as Floridian.
You're not a
But we
Florida
lived in Texas
man.
for yeah, not a Florida man, unfortunately. Um, yeah, so we moved to Texas when I was 10. I grew up there, and then we went to North Carolina for around the same time Homeland was filming. So went there, and then now I've kind of like bounced around from New York and California and wherever.
Well, so that's why it says here that you landed a commercial when you were 3 and you were hooked ever since. I guess a 3-year-old
Yeah,
can be hooked on something. But, yeah, I mean,
yeah,
how yeah, like, so, like, how? Because I feel like when I'm in LA, you meet people who are in the industry and, like, often their parent like, they're from LA, their dad's
yeah,
an actor, their mom's an actor, like, they have some sort of
yeah,
tie to the industry. But you were like,
for
you
sure.
came, you just parachuted in, like, how was that?
Yeah. Um yeah, I was doing some commercials as a child. So yeah, I guess that was like the gateway into it. That's kind of where it started. Um and so my mom she actually worked in the props department in New York, and her whole side of the family they're like grips and camera ops and all of that. So
Yeah, and for people who
growing
don't
up.
know, explain what a grip is for people who don't know.
Yeah, grip is like the guys and the women who help like set up all of the like the tracks and all of the equipment for the cameras and all of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. I mean, I can imagine Homeland. Like, I know, like, working on Blackish, it was interesting to realize that, like, a TV show is like a small city. You have the
Hmm.
teachers who are teaching the child
Yeah,
actors.
right.
You have craft services that's feeding everybody. You have lighting. You have electricity. You have props. You have a set decoration.
Yeah,
Hair and
yeah.
makeup and stylists. So yeah, it's
It
like a
takes
whole
a
city.
village, man. Yeah,
Yeah, video
definitely.
village. Yeah,
Yeah,
a village.
yeah. Exactly. So yeah, so my mom's side of the family, they're all behind the scenes. So and they're all from New York. So growing up, we would go and we would visit them on sets and all of that. So like I already knew like what that world looked like a little bit. And none of them were actors. But I had, I guess, like the personality. And I just wanted to. I loved being the center of attention, so it felt like the next natural step. Um, but yeah, just being around that at a young age, I got a taste of what it was, and I just always wanted to be a part of that.
Yeah. What was your favorite thing about it? Like at a young age.
At a young age, I I honestly, the attention. I feel like that's what it was. Like I loved like being there. I loved people looking at me. I loved like performing for people. I loved like showing off in that way. I thought was super fun. And I never wanted to leave set growing up. And as I've gotten older, I'm thank God that has like shifted. Like my love for it has deepened, and it's not about the attention anymore. Um, and uh I'm glad that I fell in love with it as an adult, in a way different way than when I was a child. And I every once in a while um there's like a movie or a TV show or something that you watch that you're like, oh, this is why I do it. And I love going to a theater and like sitting down and watching something and be like, oh yeah, like let's bring it back to like what this is really about. But like that like
Are you more of
shared
a
experience.
Are you more of a movie person or a TV person? Like as far as what you enjoy to
I'm
watch.
Yeah, movies all the way for sure. I've done most of my work has been in television. Unfortunately, I haven't gotten to do a lot of movies. Um, but yeah, as a consumer, it's like movies all the way. I have AMC A list, man. Yeah, I'm like
Wow.
I go and I watch. Do you have it?
No, I like I'm not a huge movie person. I just never like
Oh,
I
dude.
think the investment like I think a movie has to get me like right at the beginning or else I'm just like there are probably like 8 movies that I really can see like say I enjoy and I can like I even go back to like No Country
Wow.
for Old Men,
Mm,
Godfather 2, Fargo. I guess Oh Brother I mean honestly a lot of the Coen brothers, Oh Brother Where Art Thou as well.
yeah.
There's like
Yeah,
a
there's
couple
some
like
great ones.
yeah, 500 Days of Summer probably like I
Mm,
guess Shawshank Redemption, but like I like
a
La La
classic.
Land. I can count the number of movies I've genuinely really, like, enjoyed. It's like they're just so long, but I'm gonna,
Wow.
try to do
Yeah.
a better job.
Yeah, man.
I'm more of a TV
I'm a
person.
walking advertisement for AMC A list. It's I don't know if you know what it is. I'm not legitimately a walking advertisement, but talk about it
Well, yeah,
way too
go
much.
ahead, hey.
Bro, it's let me give you the pitch. $23 a month. You could see 3 movies a week. And me and my friends will literally go to like every single movie. We try to. But yeah, I love that shit, man. Like that's what makes me. I take like Jackson days where I literally just like go and I just go see a movie by myself. I
Oh,
love
I
that
love
stuff.
that,
I
Jackson
love it.
Days. That's amazing.
Yeah,
Okay,
man.
so when you got the script for Homeland, because like, I mean, people might not know, but, like, as a you know, as an actor and even as a writer, right, most pilots just never become series, right? Pilots, they
Yeah.
come, they go. But like when you got Homeland, were you like, "Oh, this is gonna be the one. Like this is it. This is gonna be like." You read the
Yeah.
pilot and you were like, "Oh, okay." Like, were you in the pilot? Like, you must have
Yeah.
been because you
Yeah.
were Brody's son.
Yeah. Yeah. I was in the pilot.
I
I
loved
was
Homeland.
10.
I loved Homeland.
I remember talking about it with you. Um, yeah, I was 10 years old when I was in Homeland, when we shot the pilot, or 11 maybe. So I did not read the script thinking, oh yeah, this is it. This is the one for sure. Like I didn't know, man. Yeah. Um,
Like 10-year-old you
but
doing coverage of the script. Like, oh yeah, this is gonna be the one. This is gonna
yeah, no,
resonate.
I never knew. Yeah, I never knew. Even when I was doing it, I never knew. Like when in the table reads, we would go through it and be like, okay, like I didn't know what that was, and now I did. Like it was like not for children, the show. So it was like, man, like there wasn't a lot of like relatable things for me, and I didn't have a scope of what the industry really was, or what would work and what doesn't. And I feel like a lot of people still don't know. Like, how are you supposed to know until you kind of just do it? But
Yeah.
looking back at it, it was like a perfect mix of the producers and the writers and the actors that were on. It was like it had to have worked.
Yeah. I
So
mean,
I didn't have
yeah,
a scope.
Damian Lewis is amazing. Like he's so I
He's
mean,
insane,
Billions and
man.
although
So good.
I really wish
Yeah,
I wish Brody had blown up. Like I feel like the end of the first season was leading out to like if I get it. Like you don't kill off the main character, but
yeah,
like had Brody blown up the vest. Spoiler alert if you haven't watched Homeland and it's been however many years. But like, I
I
wish
think
he had
yeah, I
blown
think we're
up the
clear.
vest. Yeah, I
I
think.
I can't remember. He might have. I remember. I don't think he was supposed to die. I mean, he was supposed to die. Is what I'm saying. I think they scripted where he was supposed to die, or that like in the writers' room, that was something that I don't know if it was going to be there or what it was, but I know he wasn't supposed to make it as far as he did. Um, but
Wait, I think the
yeah,
chemistry was just so good between him and what's her name, the main Carrie
Claire Danes.
Claire Danes. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It seemed like I get it, but I feel like the story just narratively would have been so amazing had he, because like then she would have had that vindication of like being proven correct, as opposed to getting that
yeah,
vindication so much. I mean, she really doesn't get the vindication, at least not publicly,
yeah.
ever. But yeah, I mean, did you continue to watch it after your character, after like your storyline, or like were you like, all right, I'm out, like it's, I'm done. It was a job and I'm good.
Yeah. So when I was filming it, like I was still 11, 12, 13 or something. I think that's when I had stopped being in the show. So it wasn't my demographic. Like I didn't watch it. The only
You
episodes I
you weren't
would
like a
see
12-year
were
old like history
yeah,
and
just
like
watching
CIA
yeah.
buff.
Yeah, just watching Showtime. Yeah, I wasn't watching it, and like, the only times I had seen episodes were for like premieres when we would go and do that, or like I saw clips or whatever here and there when I was doing ADR, but I never really like sat down and watched it. And to be
Wait,
honest,
explain ADR to people really quickly.
yeah, so ADR is when they have the actors come in and record like additional voices, they have to like dub over themselves for things that weren't picked up clearly the first time around, or they want to add in some more lines or some movements or some breath work or whatever it is to try to like clear it
Yeah.
up in post. Yeah,
That's one thing I hate about, or I'm not gonna say hate, but like writing for shows, like now, like I can't watch a show without having like an ear that's like, oh wait, oh that was ADR.
I
Like
know, I
like it's
know.
the back, they're on the back of his head for like 30 seconds. That's
Yeah,
what,
man.
like, or like being like, oh
Yeah.
like yeah. I mean, does that happen to you as an actor? Where like I feel like as a writer, like I don't really like, I already don't watch a lot of TV. I feel like I'm
Mhm.
even less apt to watch TV because if I watch it, I'm always gonna watch it from like a lens of like, I could have that line like that's a good joke. That joke they could
Yeah,
have, I'm like thinking of it as like I'm like imagining the writers in the room writing that joke and thinking, oh,
yeah.
like this joke could have been 5% better. Do you do that as an actor? Like, oh, like he's face acting. Like, I would have done this. I would have done this differently. Like,
Yeah, all the time.
yeah.
And I know
Or
people
like
are
if you're
doing
up
it
for a
with
role or something.
yeah,
Like if you were up
yeah,
for the
and I
same
know
role, you're like, oh, I would have crushed it.
yeah, I would have done that so differently. Definitely. And I know people are doing that with me too, other actors watching. It's hard not to um analyze or like think of or somebody's performance if it's not like completely there or like maybe like you're thinking of things you would do differently for sure but it's really really good when you're just like lost in it and enjoying it, which is most of the time is what's happening. But like that's when it's like really great when you can fully believe, knowing all the stuff behind the scenes and knowing that it took them months to shoot this thing and knowing all the like the details and the different things that go into it and being able to separate yourself from all of that and just enjoy it and consume it. Man, that's the best.
Yeah, that's so true. Because I think about like when I'd be on set for like Blackish, I remember first of all just realizing like, wow, like sets like a lot of people. Like there's like we said, there's the grips, there's all these people around. And like one, it made me think like, wow, first of all, I'm like, wow, how awkward do sex scenes have to be, right? Like you're doing that in
Right.
front of like a ton of like, Bob who works in like, who's a grip, the guy like, and you're just,
Yeah.
you're doing this in front of these just work, people who are your coworkers. Like
Yeah,
that's gotta be
right?
really awkward. And then the
Yeah.
other thing it made me think is like, yeah, I mean that's really weird. And then like, but and then going back to what you said, like about loving set, like I agree so much. Like one thing, so when I was writing for The Simpsons, that's one thing I miss is that there was no set because it's animated,
Mm.
and like just walking around, like watching Yara, watching Miles, like watching Tracy, watching Lawrence, like watching Anthony, just like those little moments in between, like you become. I mean, not to get all schmaltzy, but like you become almost like a family, right? Like you're all like
Yes,
kind of
definitely.
just in this world together and like telling the story together. What was your relationship like with the writers? Because like I remember, so I got on Blackish like super, like I was working in a complete different industry in New York, and I got on Blackish, and I remember I had this belief that like it was gonna be like, oh, like you can't like look the actors in the eye, like you have to like the actors are like
Oh, wow.
like you're the little people and like the actors like like you're not allowed to like even look at them. And I remember like it could not have been more the opposite. Like if anything, it was like the actors like put us on a pedestal and like wanted to kind of be cool with us because they felt like, oh, like
Yeah.
the writers are the ones who are giving me my line, like giving me like,
You're doing
oh,
the
like
groundwork, man. Yeah,
yeah, it was really so.
definitely.
Was it like that? Was it like that at Homeland?
Yeah, I think most sets I've never been on a set where there's um I have been on some sets, but we won't talk about those. But like the majority of the sets that I've been on, everybody's super like welcoming and super kind to everybody. Um and yeah, it's not like specifically with the writers we treat them this way and this way and this way. Like if you are on a good set with a good showrunner, good directors, people who like kind of set the tone and set the pace and make it that family environment, then that's when you know you're part of something really special and really cool.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so yeah, I
yeah.
definitely respect the writers like that. Like they lay the groundwork. Like I did a show called The Right Stuff, and the scripts for that show were some of my favorites. Like I was so excited at the table reads after every single table read. I was like, wow, this is crazy. So if anything, it's like
Who wrote that?
you
Who
just
who
have
wrote the right stuff? Based on
yeah.
the
So
right stuff by Philip
Mark
Kaufman.
Lafferty was the showrunner and the head writer for sure.
Okay. And so yeah, Mark Lafferty and Will Staples wrote the pilot, the
Yeah, Will
teletape of the
Staples
pilot. Okay, so
developed the pilot. Yeah.
yeah, okay, so it was like, and what about it was so like, oh, because like, so that's the funny thing about. I think we talked about this before when we met, but like, I'm not a big drama person. Like, I'm more of a comedy. Like, first of all, I don't watch a ton of comedies because I feel like the bar to make me laugh is like pretty high. Like, I like Arrested Development. I like
Mm,
The Office. Like, when it was like in its, like the first few seasons, I'd never seen anything really like it. Because I was young. Obviously, like when you get older, you realize, oh, like The Office is really built on like, the back of really shows like Arrested Development, and also like Arrested Development is built on the back of shows like just Gary Shandling and stuff like that.
mm,
Like these mockumentary sort of things. But yeah, like I'm not a big drama person, so like I loved like for Homeland to be so like it was just the story, the pacing, everything about it was so good. Like it was
yeah.
just really really. So what about the right stuff made you feel like, oh, like when I read this is like, because you've obviously seen quality writing before.
Yeah. Um, I don't know. I don't know specifically what it was. I think there was the ensemble I feel like everybody just had like a chance to like kind of go and do their thing, which was really fun. I don't know. Yeah, it
Well,
was
yeah, sometimes
good
you just
writing.
know. Yeah,
Yeah,
sometimes
sometimes you
you just
know.
know. And how did like Homeland change your life? Like I'm sure after that, like, you were probably getting booked more, you
Yeah,
were known more. Like how did that change your life?
Yeah, definitely changed my life. There was, I think a lot of. I wish I could do it again. Like being on the other end of it now, I didn't understand the scale in which the level in which it was like appreciated. And we'd be going to these award shows, and I was just like, oh, this is what people do. Like this is what actors do. Everybody just goes to these award shows. And this is like an easy thing. Definitely not. Like I'd be so lucky to be able to be a part of something that was like that again, you know? Um, so
That's
I'd be
so
going to these
true.
award shows.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's very true.
yeah, and especially at that age, like I had no concept. But I would be
Yeah,
meeting all these like really cool people. Yeah,
that's so true. I feel like a similar thing happened, because I was like 23 when I was on Blackish, which is like obviously not, you were like 10, 11, but like that's like relatively young as a writer. And like, I feel like not really, just because I didn't have the traditional writer path of like kind of grinding, like as a writer, just like, moving to LA with like nothing to my name and then like being a writer's assistant and like getting coffee and be like kind of going through the ranks. So I just kind of woke up one day and was on Blackish. And like, that season was when it really kind of took this step to becoming this like critically acclaimed sort of like household, cultural show. And I think like, yeah, I wish like there's a part of you that doesn't really appreciate it in the moment because you're just like, oh, this is
yeah,
like, I guess this is just like what happens when you write for a TV show. Like you get awards, like
right,
you go to these awards and you get recognized and people write about you in the Hollywood Reporter, and that's just what
yeah,
happens. But it's definitely like there are a lot of shows that no one cares. I mean, look, the check's still clear, so I'm not taking a dump on those shows, but a lot of shows that no one really cares about, like from a like that sort of perspective, like from like acclaimed and stuff.
mm. Yeah. But
Yeah.
now I think now when we're in that position again, we can like really enjoy it for what it is. Because it was
For
that
sure.
was one of the first things you had done, yeah?
Oh yeah, it was like the first thing I did. I mean, later
Yeah.
when I was on The Simpsons, I kind of, I mean, even that though, I think I didn't really like. I obviously know The Simpsons is a big deal, but like, I didn't realize like, oh, like everyone's like, oh, you guys predict everything, and like, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
this is like, the most successful show on ever, really, like TV wise, and it's like, oh, this is like an American, like it's like an export. It's like a touchstone, and like in the it's incredible. But okay, so it changed your life. I guess that's another thing I wonder. Like, how did you? Because like I think about this with all the kids from Blackish too. Like, no one's like knock on wood, yeah, like no one's gone on like a crazy drug binge, and like you hear these stories. I mean, we know like the Aaron
Yeah.
Carter, rest in peace. Like there are all these like child actors. Just I think it's a little bit unfair because we always highlight the ones that are like,
Mm,
no one ever really highlights the ones that turn out well, right? No one's ever like, oh, look at Natalie Portman, like she's just doing very fine. People always highlight
right.
the ones who kind of crash out, like
Jason
the Corey
Bateman.
Feldman,
Yeah.
yeah, the Corey Feldman, yeah, you're right, yeah, the ones who, yeah, exactly him. Like as far as people who have done well, so like, how did you like manage to not go crazy, like getting all this? I mean, like you said, you got all this attention.
Yeah, that's all my mom, man. She was uh she was like, you're going to normal school. So what, my entire life I went to public school. Like I was never like homeschooled or anything like that.
You didn't have
I
a
had like
set,
the
like a
set
set.
teachers. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I had the set teachers and everything legally. Like they have to be there and like keep you on your stuff. But I would just get my work from my high school or my middle school or wherever I was at the time, and then do it on set. So my mom was like, it was very important to her that I got like a normal life. That I went to like prom and did all that stuff. Um, so yeah, it was it's all her, man. I think her being
yeah.
around the industry for a long time, she kind of like saw how some people were, and like she's kind of been on both ends as like a crew member and as a mom that like brings her kids to set. Like she sees a lot of things. Um,
Yeah.
and
Well, and a
yeah, it
lot
was
of
just really
people,
important to her.
yeah, and a lot of people, it's like it's their dream. Like they're living through their kid.
Mm,
They're like living their dream through their kid. But yeah, I think the same thing
mm,
goes for everyone at Blackish. Is that like everyone had like good, like everyone's had good parents where they had a
yeah,
good head on their shoulders. Like I think that really has a lot to do with it. Like I think if you looked at the ones who kind of spiraled out of control and the ones who like didn't, like like you'll see that clear pattern. And so my understanding of it as a child actor is that because so many child actors have gotten taken advantage of in the past, like all your money basically sits in an account until you turn 18, then you get it all at once. How did you not like go? I'm sure that Homeland money must have been pretty, and like the Barney money must have been cooking there for a while. Like, how did
yeah.
you not like? Did you make a crazy purchase? Did you just save it? Like, what did you do when you turned
Y-
18 and you got this
Yeah.
chunk?
So a certain percentage of your money goes into a Coogan account. So it's not like all the money you ever would have earned just all at once, comes in. Um, but my mom was also very like good about that and like me not spending any money and uh always kind of like just being very aware of what I was spending money on or anything. But when uh I think I bought a car, and not anything crazy, like not the most insane car ever, but I just bought, it was my first car and I got to buy it, and that was nice. Yeah, but
What kind of car was it?
it's a Lexus. I still drive it. It's a Lexus NX 200T. Like not like not
Wow.
super wild, but
Yeah,
it does the
that's very
job. Yeah,
responsible. Very, very
yeah,
responsible of you. And, oh yeah,
yeah,
we're gonna talk about. So it's funny when we met. Like since we've met, most of our conversations have been about the Houston Rockets. Which like it's funny that you're from
yeah.
Dallas, but you're like are you a Rocket? Would you say you're a Rockets fan?
Oh my God, I'm a diehard Rockets fan.
Okay, how
I
did that
didn't start
happen from
watching.
Dallas?
Yeah, 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 yeah. So I didn't start watching sports until probably around like the Homeland days. I don't know what happened. I just started going through puberty. My balls dropped, and I was like, sports, like this is awesome. So so my dad was a Cowboys fan. Um, and so like I've adopted the Cowboys, diehard Cowboys fan as well. But he didn't really watch
I
basketball,
have a
so
Cowboys player who's supposed to come on the pod. We'll see. He's a
really a
linebacker.
current
Yeah.
current.
Yeah, he's played for the
Which one?
Vikings. No, Anthony
Oh, Anthony
Barr.
Barr. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's dope.
So go
Um,
Cowboys for him.
Go Cowboys, man. They're having a good season. Yeah. Yeah. So I wasn't raised in like a basketball house. Like my dad watches football. So I was like, I can kind of choose whoever I want right now. And Dallas, I watched Dallas a couple times growing up, the Mavericks. But then I remember they were playing this dude with a beard, and I was like, this guy's cool. Like I don't know who this guy is, but I like him.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it
I
was
like
I
that.
think
I
it was
like that.
yeah, it was Harden's like first or second year in Houston, and I was like, I'm going with Houston. Like I like this guy. I like this team. So I started. I didn't really know much about basketball, but I just watched almost every game that they played. Like any game that I could get, I was trying to watch. Which was nice over the pandemic because I didn't really have like much to do, so I literally watched like all 82 games of the two seasons during the pandemic, whatever it was.
Man,
Yeah.
yeah, it's funny. I started watching because like I moved to America when I was like 6 from Nigeria and
Mm,
moved to Houston, and like so I was like early like late 90s, and then I really started watching basketball around the time the Lakers were really good. That's why I became like such a
mm,
big. I mean, that's one of the reasons I became such a big Kobe fan. Like I was like a Lakers fan. Like, I was like Lakers, 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 and like Kobe, Kobe, Kobe. That was like around the time of the three-peat. And then like just over the course of that time, like watching the Lakers, I started watching the Rockets, like because that's the hometown team. And so I got like I was watching, I'd watch like like Steve. I was into Steve Francis, Catino Mobley, like Kelvin Cato, Moochie Norris those days. And then
yeah.
like over the course of so I'd watch a lot of games. And then like when Harden came, like when we were like really really good, like 16, 17, 18. Well, really like 15, 16, 16, 17, 17, 18, and 18,
Yeah.
19 even. I was so like I was into it. Like I would just watch
Yeah.
everything. And like I think the thing is that 18 season just like coming so close, it kind of I don't say it broke me, but like coming so
Painful.
close and then like yeah, and then
Dude.
coming again the following year and like Warriors fans would be like, "Oh, well, KD got hurt, and like you guys still lost," but it wasn't the same team, right? We didn't bring back Ariza.
No.
Like Luke, like it was magic in a bottle, and people can be like, "Oh, Ariza," but it was magic in a bottle. That 17-18 season was like we were just spanking teams. Like we were just
Yeah,
like
man.
teams just did not know like no one else was shooting threes at the rate. Like not everyone's shooting threes at that rate, but no one else was at that time. So we, like just
No.
based on the team's shot selection, they would be like it's like coming into the game with like a double digit lead just based on your shot selection. Like Daryl Morey,
Yeah.
people say Steph Curry changed the game. Daryl Morey changed the game. Like I
I
think Daryl Morey
love
changed the game.
Daryl, man.
Oh
I'm a huge
yeah, he's
Morey
a big
fan.
fan. What you guys follow each other, right? Like he comments on your stuff. I
Yeah,
feel like you guys like have
we're
a
not best friends. We're like social media friends. Yeah, we follow each other. Yeah.
yeah
But
yeah
yeah,
yeah
I'm a huge fan of his. He was always just making moves, man. Like he was always trying to win, which
yeah
I love.
always.
Like
Well,
always.
yeah, well, the thing is, everyone else punted. Everyone else was just like, okay, the Warriors are so good, we're not even gonna try. And
Hmm.
Daryl tried. Like every other team was
Yeah,
like, you know what, we're gonna stockpile draft picks. We're gonna like, hey, we're not being the Warriors. And Daryl tried. Like he really and like I hate when people are like, oh well, like I really do think like yeah, you can't rerun it, but like the Rockets would have won an 18 if Chris Paul doesn't get hurt.
I
Like
agree.
it, he would want. They would have won. Like anyone who says otherwise, like there are people who are like, oh, like they just don't have they're not built for it. Like it doesn't even if like basically the Warriors have championship, spirit and the Rockets don't. Like Harden's not a winner. So like even if Chris Paul had been fine, like I'm like that's just like that's BS. Like in the like that
Yeah.
Cavs team was terrible. Like the Rockets would have yeah. But I don't really watch anymore. I'm gonna like I've actually this is the first season I've ever probably watched more football than basketball. I haven't watched like a single like
Wow.
intentionally. I haven't like I've watched football because like Thanksgiving we were at a family friend's place but I
Yeah.
haven't like I just haven't watched. Like I think that like I became more of a Harden fan than like a basketball fan like over the
Mm,
course of like those 3 years. And then he went to
yeah.
the he went to the Brooklyn. So I was a Brooklyn fan for a little bit. Then he went to the Sixers and like I guess I'm a Sixers fan, but I just haven't watched. Like it's tough to go from like your team is like part of the core part of the storyline. It's like the
Yeah.
Rocket, like every year, like everyone knew, like especially for those like 17, 18 especially, but even 18, 19, everyone knew like it's gonna come down to Houston and the Warriors. Like it's gonna come down to these two teams,
Right.
and like everything else is just kind of like whatever. But it's gonna and, like to have your team like have all the big national games and like be what everyone's talking about on first. Like, not that I watch First Take and stuff like that, but like I will when they're talking about the Rockets right back then. Like to go
Yeah.
from that to just like these guys are. Like, I mean, look, they're gonna be great. But, like Jalen Green, and like they're all like well, they're like younger than you.
Yeah. Yeah.
they're
Which is
it's they're like
crazy, man.
yeah. Oh, I mean, no,
Yeah.
that nothing.
But
Yeah, talking about sports and your balls drop. Nothing's crazier than like the first athlete who's like the first NBA player who's younger than you, like the first star
Yeah.
NBA player who's younger than you.
I
It's
was like, wait,
like
what?
who was it
When
for
it
you? I
started
know who.
happening.
For me, it was Kyrie
Oh
Irving.
man.
That was like the first person who was like, oh wait,
Yeah.
he's younger than I am.
Yeah, it's people who are
Who
like
is it for
around my
you?
age. It's Jason Tatum is around my age. I maybe he's a little younger or something, but like I was like, whoa, like I'm over here doing whatever I'm doing, and you're dunking on LeBron like rookie season, like it's
Yeah,
crazy. Like I was like,
yeah,
what? Like what's going on here? So yeah, that whole
yeah,
draft class is like, what's going on? And then now it's just like this is insane. Um,
yeah,
but I
yeah. I
actually
mean, it's tough.
I've enjoyed the rebuild. I like it's I love Harden. He's favorite player of all time, probably ever, always will be. Um, but I've liked seeing like the young guys for the Rocket squad and like kind of like steadily grow. I think it's been really fun for me, especially knowing like the anxiety of competing every year and like, oh, this has to be the year, like it like feels like time it might be running out, like we got to get people, we got to, and now I just like I can sit
Yeah,
back and kind of just enjoy the
yeah. There's
games
no
and enjoy
stakes.
watching.
There's no stakes.
Yeah, I'm not worried about winning
Yeah,
or losing. I'm just like, well, at least the guys had fun. like it's so much
that's so
easier
true.
bad team, and they're gonna
So
pop
true.
eventually. They're
They
gonna
will.
pop.
They
They're
will.
all
Oh,
good dudes.
yeah, yeah. No, actually, I very much agree with you there as far as like just like the anxiety of those like I want to say 17 like when the team is really like
Yeah,
contending like 17, 18,
yeah,
18, 19, like even 19, 20 cuz like I talked myself like as much as I was against the Westbrook trade, like I kind of
yeah,
they kind of figured some things out. They traded Capella. They made Westbrook just like, they're like, okay, you can't shoot really, so we're going to just trade our center. And like
yeah,
they put together like a solid string. Like after the All-Star game, they put together a solid string of wins where like they kind of figured it out and it's like, okay, like hey, we're
yeah.
going to like play with no center. And like those 3 years, I was
Robert
like living and
Covington.
dying by. Oh yeah, Rocco. Yeah, I was like
Yeah.
living and dying by every game. I remember like I was dating this girl around the time of that playoff game. We went to game 7 against the freaking Thunder that year. Remember when they went to game 7?
Oh
Like
yeah,
they
I
they
do
should have
remember that.
they should have won in like 5 games. They should like it was the most
Yeah,
improbable 7 game series ever because like they were up with like anyway it was insane. But I remember like
yeah.
I like didn't have the spirit to watch it like it was like overtime. And I told my like I was watching with the girl I was dating, and I was like let's just turn it off until like at least I was like I don't want to watch anymore. Like I just want to know like if they won or not. Like late, like I'm gonna wait until
Yeah.
like the very end. And I think she was like I think she was on following on Twitter, so she thought that it was over. So she's like, oh, turn it back on, and it wasn't over. There's like one more play. It was I think it was when Harden blocked Lou
Lou
Dort,
Dort.
but like my
Yeah.
heart was just like like I was like you would have thought that like I didn't like it's like I had money on the game. Like I didn't have money on the game. I was like my heart was just
No.
like I was living and dying by every game. So like you're right. Like to,
Yeah.
to have the no stakes of just like like I will try and
Much
watch again. It's
easier.
just like it's just hard. Like have you ever sat courtside? I'm sure you have at some point in your life. Like some
No, no, I haven't.
Oh, okay.
I
Well, you
haven't.
should. Well,
Yeah.
the Simpsons we had like these courtside seats that this producer had. James Brooks. He's like, I mean, him and like Matt Groening are like just like insanely like wealthy. And so like and like it's kind of like in life, like you sit courtside, you don't want to sit in the upper levels again. And I feel like you're a fan of a team that's like freaking in and out, contending, going deep into the Western Conference Finals, going, like just go, just like giving the Kevin Durant Warriors a run for their money. It's like hard to watch. Like, oh, we're 2-10. We're
Yeah.
but I've heard Jalen Green's good. I heard Jabari
Jalen's
Parker's kind
great.
of putting it together. So yeah, I think I will try to reinvest a little bit. I think it'll take me some time to just kind of really, really like reinvest. Do you ever play basketball? I've been playing a lot lately, just like pick up.
Yeah, I play all the time. I try maybe like twice a week. I try to play. I have a couple buddies out here that I run with. I don't know if I'm getting any better at it, but I've always loved playing. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. I pride myself on bounce passes, the cutters. Like I'm like I love a good cutter. I'm like just dive in. I love it,
Wait,
man.
you're what?
Nothing
You're
beats a nice
23,
pass.
right?
I'm
You're
23. Yeah.
23. Okay, so one thing I've loved about playing, like I've really gotten a lot into like I've been working out, like going to the gym a lot, playing, and I've been
Yeah.
hooping a lot. And one thing I love about hooping and like I want to say like late 20s, early 30s, and like beyond, is that everyone like no one thinks they're going to the league anymore. Like everyone kind of knows what they're good at, and so no one's really trying to do too much. You're like, all right, I'm the bounce
Yeah.
pass guy. I'm gonna like
Yeah.
I'm like I'm the rebound guy. Like I'm gonna get the rebounds.
Yeah.
I'll just I get the rebound. I'll do a putback.
Yeah.
If I'm getting hacked and I'm missing layups and stuff, I'll kick it back out. But I'm not gonna do anything. I'm not gonna do anything too fancy. Like I love that. Like like you're just you
I'm
know
a
what you're like. This is
perimeter
my
guy.
lane.
Off
Yeah,
ball
you know your
perimeter
lane.
guy. Yeah. I don't want to carry the ball up, but pass it to me. Maybe I'll hit an open three. Pass it to me. I can fake a three and then hit you with a bounce pass. Something nice.
You have a solid.
Something
You feel
easy.
like you seem like that white guy who like walks in the gym and just has like a solid 3-pointer, and it's like, what the fuck is that? Like this
I
guy
have
just
a
keeps hitting
solid
shots.
3-pointer. Yeah, I
Yeah,
have a
you have
solid
that.
three going for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know
it's
what it
not
is
too
about
bad.
white.
It's not great, but it's solid.
Yeah, my theory is that white people are just like richer, and so their parents can afford like those
the
things in the
the
summer,
shooting
and it's like
lessons.
because white dudes just like freaking just. I remember like when I first moved to LA, there's this guy we would play with like these games, and like he just had this ratchet from three, like he was just wet from three, and it was like just a skinny, like, kind of lanky white dude, and it's like what is it about? Like
Yeah.
it's like the Euro guys almost. But yeah, that's all.
Well,
Yeah,
as a
playing. I feel like
skinny,
playing. Yeah,
as
it's
a
like
skinny
therapy
dude
playing.
myself, I kind of have to stick to the perimeter. Like I can't go in and like try to body somebody. So I've kind of had to
Yeah,
adapt my game to just shoot threes.
yeah.
But it is
One thing I
therapeutic.
wonder
I
because I've
agree.
yeah, it's very therapeutic. So one thing I wonder
Yeah.
is like because you see a lot of child actors. I think one thing that also makes it tough for child actors sometimes is that, like imagine if like the thing you're most notable for is like a thing you did when you were like 10, right? Like it's
Yeah.
like how do you balance like being proud of this thing with like also like like not being like not like living in the past, like like I sometimes like cringe, like I felt like I don't know, I'm not gonna name names, but like there's certain people I know who are like child actors, and like they'll constantly post like their old like their stuff from like their Nickelodeon show or something, and
Yeah.
it's like on the one hand, like it's like yeah, it is cool, like you were a part of this kind of major show or something, but it's like what have you
Yeah.
done lately? And it's like how do you balance like
Correct.
being proud of what you've done, but like not resting on your laurels and like that's the only thing like you want to obviously you don't want to like when your Wikipedia is said and done, you don't want like oh like he was on Homeland from from 10 to 12 years old, and
Yeah.
like that's kind
Yeah.
of like
Right.
it's all yeah.
Yeah. That's such a
'Cause I mean
great question.
I feel the same way about Black and the Simpsons. Like I want to I want to have my
Yeah.
own show. I want to like write for I want to write for something else for other things.
Right.
Like like I don't like I'm very proud that I was a part of those things because they're like
Absolutely.
majorly iconic. But like I don't want that
Yeah.
to be like my entire career.
No, yeah, and it won't be. I mean, like I said, like if you're hungry enough and you love it enough, like you want to keep doing stuff, you want to keep creating, you want to keep contributing. So I am proud of that show, but yeah, at the same time, like you said, like I was a kid, like I can't just hold on to that. Like I did that one time a long time ago. Like I was a child and I had like 3 lines an episode, like it was never like this major thing, like all about me. So, yeah,
Oh
I'm
my
proud of
goodness, I
it.
feel like
I'm super
yeah.
thankful for it, but it's always, and unfortunately, like in this industry, it's always like, okay, what's next? Like we're never content. Like it's
Oh
always on
yeah,
to the next,
yeah,
and what else can I do, and how else can I create
yeah.
and
And
love
the
what I do?
industry's
Yeah.
yeah, the industry's so fleeting. So I remember that that thing went viral like I want to say it was like a year or two. I mean, time's flying so much. It must have been like 2 years ago. But the actor from the Cosby
Mm.
Show who was like at Trader Joe's, I think like Jeffrey something, like he was at like Trader Joe's, like bagging groceries, and
Mm.
people like Jeffrey Owens, and like he's like
Oh.
people saw the video and like he ended up getting like more roles. But yeah, like you can like I think Hollywood's funny because so I remember someone made this joke that like if you live in LA long enough, you'll see someone that you used to date on a billboard, and so like there's this kind
Mm.
of meteoric rise of people. Like you'll see someone who owed you rent money like on a billboard, like a year later.
That's funny.
But then the
Yeah.
opposite also happens though, where you'll see someone on a billboard and then like later they're like not, they're not on a billboard.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like you have to kind of stay with it and stay. I mean, you're in acting classes, I'm sure, right? Like and also you're creating stuff, you're directing, you're writing, but like how do
Yeah.
you like keep that muscle sharp?
I should be in acting classes. I think that helps keep the muscle sharp for
Well,
sure.
I mean,
Um,
yeah, I mean, I remember being surprised that like the greatest actors are like have acting coaches. Like, like I remember being surprised
yeah,
like Denzel Washington and like, Morgan Freeman. Like who the heck could coach Morgan Freeman or like Denzel Washington or like Brad Pitt or
definitely.
but like they all have acting classes. That was like mind
Yeah,
blowing to me. I mean, but I guess if you think about it,
humility,
like,
man.
yeah, but also I guess athletes have like coaches, right? Like Kevin Durant
Yeah,
has a shooting coach probably, right? So yeah, I guess it makes
definitely,
sense.
definitely. Yeah, you got to keep it sharp. Yeah, I honestly, it's something that I should probably. I'm not in acting classes. I haven't done them since I was as a kid, but like it's something that I should probably be doing. Yeah, just to kind of like keep in it, keep in the zone. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's fine. I remember your character. I feel like the girl, like your sister in the show, was like kind
Mm,
of. I feel like they always write teenage girls kind of bitchy. Like,
mm.
I feel like that was her. I can't. It's been a while. I mean, it hasn't been that long. I watched it. I rewatched it like a couple years ago. Actually, I gotta give you credit. I rewatched it with this girl I was dating, and I feel like watching Homeland probably like lengthened our relationship like another 6 months. Like it
Oh,
kind of it
really?
gave us like yeah. I
There's a
like we
lot of
bonded over
episodes to get
Homeland.
through. Yeah,
Yeah. We
yeah.
bonded over it, and I feel like after we broke up, she kept watching it, and so it just made her kind of keep missing me, and then we got back together.
That's funny.
So then we broke up again. But Homeland, shout out Homeland for lengthening, strengthening my relationship.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's like you're like I feel like kids are like in comedies, kids are often written as like archetypes, right? Like
Mm,
you tend to have like I mean everyone's an archetype in a comedy, right? Like you have like like it's funny because The Simpsons and Blackish are kind of similar here, and like wow, like Family
yeah.
Guy and stuff. You kind of have like an oafish kind of like clumsy dad, a kind of hot but neurotic mom. I mean, Modern Family is probably the best example, right? Like goofy dad, hot
Yeah.
neurotic mom, kind of like pretty slutty sister or like ugly nerdy sister, and then like dumb jockey guy or like nerdy like attractive jockey guy or ugly nerdy guy. Like
Mm,
it's like these archetypes, but like I guess dramas are maybe less so. But I do feel like the woman character, like the sister, was kind of like she was just kind of like maybe that's just how she was written, or maybe I was just like whatever. But she
mm.
seemed kind of I can't remember what your archetype was. Um, but yeah, I mean, you kind of grew. I mean, how was that? Like you grew up on screen, like 10 to 13, like that's like kind of prime, like
Yeah,
like
that was a
not
lot
full
of
puberty, but like like you're growing up.
yeah. Yeah, that was a lot of developmental years. A lot of change. I remember in between seasons, like at the award shows or whatever, people would be like, "Are you the same? Or the same kid? Or like they recast or whatever?" Like, because I was just growing like rapidly. Um, so yeah, so some people were like, "You're the same kid? Is it the same person?" Um, but yeah, I was having a professional job, like, and also going back home and like going to school and everything. So it was a weird balance. It was something I think growing up I was always insecure about being an actor, and I was always like scared that people would treat me differently, specifically like my peers. So when I had moved to North Carolina, um, I didn't tell any of my friends at my new school that I was acting or anything like that because I didn't want to like move to a new place and then people pretend to care about me for a show. Like they wouldn't have seen anything I had done at all. But just like how kids are, they can be very mean or they can be very just as people are. I didn't want people to put value in like my job, and I feel like as a kid it's harder to kind of sift through that. So so like I didn't tell anybody I was an actor or anything. So I'd go and I'd be missing from school like every few days or every other day or whatever. I'd be going filming. And then this one time I got back from set. I went to school the next day and everybody was like whispering around the school about me. And I was like, what is going on? And this girl had tried to Google me to like add me as a friend on Facebook or something. And she saw like my resume from when I was younger. These were Homeland days. My resume, and I had done an episode, a guest star in Everybody Hates Chris, in like one episode, a very very small part. But it was like you're the kid from Everybody Hates Chris, and it's like I'm like you guys don't know how this works. Like it was.
Yeah,
So she came and
it's
she
so
like
funny. Yeah, it's so funny.
yeah she
Sorry
came
to
with
cut you off. I have
photos
a
of
friend.
me.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, she came to school with photos of me printed out from Google. She was just like passing them around to people. Um, so it was a weird balance growing up, like the developmental years of just like wanting to be a kid and like being a normal kid. And then also going and like actually working a real job. So it was like a weird balance. It
Yeah,
was an interesting balance.
yeah, it's very funny. Like I have a friend who was like I feel like he did like one episode or two of Everybody Hates Chris, and he's like, no, I was like, oh yeah, you were on Everybody Hates Chris, but it's like it was one episode. Like it might have been like
Yeah.
I have to check his IMDb. It might have been like it was not like a long term thing. he was also on an episode of The Office. I feel like that, like he's also kind of known for that, but it's like it's like one episode. Like wow, like you're boiling down this person's
Yeah.
entire like things, like a thing they did like
Yeah.
once. But yeah, I
Right.
mean, were they impressed? Were they making fun of you? I mean, it seems like they would probably be impressed, right, as kids.
Yeah, I think impressed. I think what was hard is, so I went to school. I didn't go to school in like LA or New York, in a place where it was common. So while it's common to me and it's like everything I've known growing up and it's like just a thing that I do, it's not like who I am. These kids, yeah, I think they like that I could feel them treating me differently, or like just acting like
Better or
weird
worse?
around me. There was definitely a shift after they found
They
out.
treat you better? They treat you better or worse?
Yeah, just fake. Like you could just feel. Yeah, I bet some were better, some were fake, but it's like it's what I did for like I love acting. So like I wasn't doing it for that at that age. Like I loved it. Like it's just something that made me happy. So for people to like
Right.
put value on it, or try to take away value, it was a weird thing to balance, and I'm still balancing it. But it's so much easier being in a place where it's like normalized and like everybody does it, or everybody's kind of in the industry. It's so much
Yeah.
easier. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's weird. Like, so I moved to LA, when I was, I guess, yeah, your age, when I was 23, and I remember like, like I didn't grow up there, obviously, and so like being around, like like Lawrence Fishburne is still like Morpheus to me, right? Like, I mean,
Mm,
like, and that's just like you're walking like these are your coworkers, right? Like Tracy Ellis Ross is
yeah.
still Tracy Ellis Ross, and like I think I was able to like be pretty like because then they like with people you're working with on the same show, like you see them every single day, so it's not like you're not gonna like be starstruck because you see them every single day. But like when I'll be going around, like I was kind of in that scene around that time of like, just like the whole Hollywood kind of scene. And like you would go into a room, it's like your entire like playlist is like in this room, right? Like how did like
Yeah.
and like you have to kind of eventually learn to not be starstruck. But like were you ever like did you ever have moments where you were like starstruck, or you were like, like, oh crap,
Mm,
like this is really freaking like you're at these award shows. Like
yeah.
were you ever starstruck?
Yeah. One time it was I was in an elevator, and Homeland had, I think it was a Golden Globe. I think Homeland had just won, and we were like going in an elevator to go do press, and Tom Hanks had just won for like a documentary he was producing or something. I can't really remember exactly, but Tom Hanks had just won something. So he was also in the elevator. So we get into this elevator. Tom Hanks is standing in it. I'm like, oh my God, that's Tom Hanks. Like, that's insane. Like, just in my head. And then he looks to me and he's like, hey, what's up, man? I love your show. My name's Tom. Nice to meet you. I was like, wow, that's so cool. Like, that, like, he's such a cool, normal dude.
Yeah.
So that time
It's
I was
always
definitely
funny.
starstruck. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always funny when they do that. Like I wouldn't be very starstruck for Tom Hanks necessarily, but like I had an elevator moment where like this is before I was in LA. I was living in New York, and a random friend of mine from high school was like having a party at like the Trump Hotel for
Mm,
some reason randomly.
mm.
And like I go to the party, I would go into the elevator, and it's freaking Kobe Bryant in the elevator with me.
Whoa.
And I like
Yeah, that's insane.
fangirled the super okay, it's super airy because the day I took a selfie. I like fangirled super hard. I was like, oh my god, like Kobe, I started pouring
Yeah.
my heart out basically. And like he was super chill because I'm sure it happens all the time. And we took a selfie,
Yeah.
and that selfie was taken on January 26th, which is the same like day that he, like however many
Wow.
years later. I think that this must have been January 2014. So yeah,
Wow.
6 years later, like yeah, I mean, that's very eerie. But yeah, like I fangirled like I mean that was like my and then like, being in LA, like I got used to it because I would be around them all the time. But, like Drake,
Yeah.
like I was a huge Drake fan. Like that's like my high school and college soundtrack. And like we got like he was always throwing parties in LA. Like we'd have mutual friends. And, like I like kind of we got like I'm not gonna like act like we're like cool, but like like got to know him and like a lot of people in that camp. And that was always like, oh
Yeah.
wow, like this is that's like Drake.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it
It's
is
it's
like
always
they're just
people.
they're just
Yeah,
people. Yeah,
it's always people. It's always people who, like athletes specifically. I'm like, holy shit, that's fucking sick. Like, it's a
yeah,
different kind of thing. Like
yeah,
I met Cam Newton once, and I'm an Auburn fan, big Auburn fan. So like that was really cool. Yeah, it's always the athletes. So I'm like, whoa, because they're the things they do.
yeah.
I cannot even come close to.
Well,
Like
it's
it's
also
insane.
funny. Yeah. It's funny because sometimes they're almost like fans of you. Like if they like your show. Like I remember one time,
Mm,
like, I'm like kind of getting like I'm more used to being in LA. I was at some event, like a film. It was something. I'm like, all right, like, you know, I'm kind of over my early days, like my first year and a half or so. Like I've archived a lot of them, but like my Instagram was just like pictures of me and like random celebrities that like I'd be out at like some freaking, Bieber's 22nd birthday and like it's, whatever. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, you don't have to take a picture with every celebrity that you meet. Like that's like weird.
Yeah.
But like I remember like one wait, crap. I'm like, wait, what were you just talking about? Rewind.
How I
Oh
get
yeah, yeah. Okay, wait, yeah.
more
So okay,
starstruck
yeah,
with
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, okay, so I feel like there's a bell curve because the thing that you said about like the thing that you oh yeah, the athletes. Like I remember like I went to like, I walk into this room, like there's an NBA player there and it was like Matt Barnes. So like not like a super all-star, but still someone who's like, oh, okay, like, and I was like, okay, I'm not gonna like I was
Yeah.
like, let me be cool. Like, it's like I'm not gonna like ask him like, like I'm not gonna like whatever. And like he ended up, we ended up talking. He's like, oh, like you write for The Simpsons? Like, oh, let me get. He's like, let me get your number. So I'm like, this is like a dude who like is a kid I would probably watch like playing basketball and like been a fan of, and he's like asking me
Yeah.
for like my contact info because like a lot of these athletes are like trying to become, like I think LeBron has like set the table, set the template. We're like, hey, I want to like.
Yeah.
I want to be a media company. I'm not. It's not like forget like athlete career is like very short. Like they have these second careers in media. So I think that's like a a funny thing where like sometimes like they might be more of a fan of you. And the other thing that you said that's kind of funny is like Tom Hanks introducing himself like, "Hey, I'm Tom." And I feel like there's a weird bell curve where like people will think that like celebrities will kind of be jerks, but I feel like the bigger celebrity often I feel like it's like the mid tier and like lower if like a TikTok influencer would be a jerk versus like I feel like the
Yeah.
bigger celebrities are actually very polite.
Yeah.
Like I remember one time when I was watching, I randomly watched the Mayweather McGregor fight at LA Reid's house, and he had this super intimate gathering where it was like and I watched it was like me, Scottie Pippen, like Larsa Pippen, Kim, Kanye, Usher, and like Kourtney
Whoa.
Kardashian. And I remember I was like super and like their kids, like very intimate. I remember I was like walking, and I was like, oh yeah, like, and this is at the time, like I've been in LA long enough that I'm not gonna like pull out my phone and like be weird. I was like, oh yeah, whatever. Like I was like, oh what's up? Like making small talk. And I remember Kim was like, oh hi, I'm Kim. I was like, oh yeah, I'm that like I'm like, yeah, yeah, I know you're Kim, like you're Kim Kardashian.
Yeah.
But like, but it's funny that I feel like they're like, oh, like they're very I feel like the bigger ones are almost like weirdly like more polite because maybe they just learned over time,
Mhm.
like, hey, I'm not gonna be a jerk, like because I'm like
Yeah.
him saying, hey, I'm Tom. It's like, yeah, you're with the Golden Globes, like obviously, like obviously you're Tom
Yeah.
Hanks, but
Yeah.
like,
Of course you're Tom Hanks.
it's like, yeah, it's like a thing that they do almost. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really fascinating. Have you ever met any who were like almost like more fans of you, like starstruck by you than you are? Because I feel like Homeland is a show that like
Um.
it's so good that I feel like they're just like people who
Yeah.
are really, it's like it has like not a cult following because it was also like acclaimed and had a lot of viewers, but like
Yeah.
it has like a very dedicated. Like I feel like if you go to the Homeland subreddit, like that's still pretty active. Like people are still
Yeah.
like uncovering things and like to think about it, it only ended like like I always forget that it only ended like a few years ago.
Yeah. A couple of years ago. A few years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy.
So
Are there
anyone
any
who's been
people that
like
were
starstruck by you?
definitely not starstruck by me, but I remember like people coming up to me at these parties and stuff like for put on for the award shows and like coming up to me and saying, "Hey, like I love your show, like great job," or whatever. And I didn't really know who they were at the time or whatever. And then later on, I'm like, "Oh my god, wait, I've met that guy once." It's like
Yeah.
whoever,
Well,
but
what that's funny. What's the proper etiquette for that? I remember I was at a club one time in LA and like Christopher Mintz-Plasse was there, like McLovin. I remember just being like,
mm,
he probably doesn't want people to just keep coming. Oh, yeah, you're McLovin. Like
yeah,
he probably like at some point is like, yeah, like that was like a long like. Do people ever like weird
yeah.
you out? Where you're like, okay, like yeah, like relax, like that was like a very
Mm,
small part of my life.
Yeah, not with me. I don't. I think what I do if I ever see somebody that like I really really like if I see somebody who's famous, but I'm not like a huge fan of their work. Like if I'm not like if I don't know them that well or their work that well, then I won't say anything. But if it's somebody that like I really like admire and I'm a truly like a big fan, I usually just say, hey, like I love your stuff, man. It's nice to meet you. Like just something quick and easy, just because I know that they have a million people coming up to them all the time asking for photos and all this. So if it's somebody who I'm like, I'd regret not like showing some love or appreciation to them, um, then like I have to say something. But for the most part, I kind of just let people go go about their
Yeah,
day.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's proper etiquette. Like, hey, like I'm a big fan of your work, and then keep it moving. What
yeah,
about are you?
but
Oh, wait, so
yeah.
you write and like how did you start writing and directing? Like, what got you into that? Was it just more like, well,
Yeah,
yeah, like what got you into that?
Man, I've always wanted to direct. I feel like as soon as a child, like when I started getting a grasp of uh sets and like a better understanding of like what goes into it, for some reason directing has always been something I've been super drawn to. I've always said growing up I was like, yeah, I'm acting, but like the goal is to be a director. And I can also act and do all these other things, but like I want to direct. And I kind of growing up, I was just like, yeah, later I'll direct, or later I'll write, and later I'll produce, and later I'll do all these things. And then over COVID, I was like, why later? Like, what am I doing? Like, I might as well just start. Like, I gotta start learning somehow. It's not just gonna magically happen when I'm 30, 35, what at 40, 50. Like I might as well start putting in the work now. Um, so yeah, I just started writing. Started
And you
having
write
like
comedy, right?
sessions.
Like you
Yeah,
write
so
because I feel
so
like
it's
you act in drama, but I feel like you write comedy.
yeah, so I'm a big fan of comedy for sure. Most of the stuff I've acted in has been more dramatic. I haven't really gotten to do a lot of comedies. But I think those are the easiest to consume. Like those are the most fun, the most like lighthearted.
Yeah. Well,
Always
yeah,
just a
because
good time.
what the thing you sent me, which I know it's not out
Yeah,
yet or whatever. Might not be out by now, but
yeah.
like you were very funny. Like you were like your
Oh,
timing,
thanks,
like it
man.
was. I was like, oh wow, and you wrote it too. I know. So like yeah,
Yeah,
like you're like yeah, it's very. Because
appreciate it,
I tend. I
man.
mean, maybe I'm a snob. You're welcome. I think maybe I'm a snob, but I feel like I tend to think that like comedy writers and actors can do drama, but like not every. Like I think every comedy writer or actor can do drama because it's just drama's just comedy, but you take out the jokes, right? Like it's just
Mm,
story but no jokes.
yeah.
But I don't know if the reverse isn't always true. So I was like, oh wow, this guy can like do like
Oh,
he
I
can do comedy.
appreciate that. Yeah, I feel more comfortable when it's something that's like funny and something that has some like a character to it. Like it's easier to like lean into it and find the comedy. And it's sometimes I find it as an actor it's harder to like find the emotion. With comedy, you kind of like know where it's going, or like you have a better understanding. It's like kind of more, it's looser. But with drama, it's a lot of the beats that you should hit are very like specific, or like the worst note. And if I get a script or like sides for an audition or something, is like, and then the character starts crying and whatever. It's like like that's tough to like work your way there. Like it's tough to like just force yourself to be like really dark and serious and whatever. Um, so I feel like mentally comedy is just easier because it's more lighthearted and it's like we're all kind of having fun doing this thing in that way. But it's definitely like difficult to make people laugh. That's the hardest part about it. It's to, like actually
Yeah.
nail it and get it right. But I think mentally, like I would have more fun with comedy.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah, so
that's
during
yeah.
COVID, I started like just writing and ended up producing a thing with my friend, which is what you were talking about. So yeah, we wrote something and then um, we all produced it and acted in it, and it was so much fun. It was one of the most creatively fulfilling experiences probably of my career. Just like getting to create and do stuff with my friends was awesome. It was so much fun.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the best directors. You know, it's like Judd Apatow. Like they have these sort of like crews,
Yeah,
right? That they kind of like
yeah,
stay work. Like everyone kind of has like
right.
a circle that like Apatow and like the people that he kind of brought
Yeah,
up, and
and
I'm
you
sure
can
Adam
feel the
Sandler. Like,
tone.
yeah,
You can feel the tone of the set, like the environment through the movie, which is always great. Like you just know that it has to be so much fun filming that stuff.
yeah. Well, did you guys raise money? Like, because I feel like one thing I feel like people don't realize. Like, I've shot some things. Like, it's pretty expensive. Like, I mean,
It's
we
super
do live in a
expensive.
world where things are cheaper. Where yeah, things are cheaper now.
Yeah,
Everyone has kind of you have a computer and a camera in your pocket. But like to really produce something in a way that looks good and like sounds good and
yeah,
is up to par. Like it takes like it's not a small feat.
right. Yeah, we did not raise money. We put all the money in it ourselves, which also is like, okay, this is our baby. Like we're putting all the time, the money, and effort into it. It needs to be the best it can. So, it was like a lot of like just focusing on the details and making sure everything was worth it because yeah, we're putting our love and our time and effort and money into it. So like we want it to be good. We want it to look
Yeah,
good, if nothing else. So yeah,
yeah. Look
we
good,
had some
sound good.
talented friends. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
What's your goal with it? Like festivals, or what's the plan?
yeah. So we went through some festivals. We did a couple in New York, which were fun. There was one out here in LA, which was fun. I didn't get to go, but I went to one in New York that was really great because it was my first time seeing it on a big screen in a theater with like a bunch of people I didn't know. And that was it was really rewarding to after like work putting so much work into it, and it took a long time to edit because we improvised a lot of stuff. So just kind of getting a coherent story. It took a while to make everything as smooth as we could. It could definitely be smoother, but we got it to a place where we're like, okay, this is all we have the capacity or ability to do at this moment. Um, so that was really cool to kind of just like let go of all of that and just hear people laughing or hear people, you know, reacting to something you made. Like it was really interesting. It was the first time I had that experience. And it was really rewarding. It was awesome to like, because that's why we make this stuff. Like we want to make people laugh, we want to make people cry, we want to make people feel whatever. So to kind of create that environment or to create that result was like really cool that it actually worked.
Yeah, no, that must have been very rewarding. I
Yeah,
mean,
a
just like
shared
I mean,
experience.
yeah, that's one I've always like a part of me always want to do a little bit of stand up. Like I've done stand up like on occasion, like
Yeah,
very like once I like a very like when I say a handful, like literally a handful, like open mic type stuff. But I feel like what's cool about stand up is like you get instant feedback, right? As a writer or a director, like you know,
right.
you write it, it's on the page, you shoot it, you edit it, you do all this stuff. But then like
Yeah,
it takes, you know, it takes months and months, or you know, or even on a TV show, right? Like it doesn't take months and months, but it takes, you know, a while to see the feedback
yeah,
versus like, you know, stand up, like you get instant feedback. And then yeah, I mean, it's gotta be amazing just to sit there and you know, watch people react to something that you like put like, you know, time and you know, care
yeah,
and attention into. It's funny that you improvise. So I feel like, you know, I remember like not not having a background, like not having worked on a show before. I feel like you would think that like a lot of stuff is improvised, but I remember realizing in the shows I've written for, like everything is like there might be like one or two things improvised per
yeah.
episode, like maybe, and like it's like it'll be like Anthony really, like there really isn't, you know, like things tend to be set like exactly as written is something that I was kind of surprised by. Um,
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
what's so
yeah,
okay? What?
yeah.
Yeah. What's dating like? I feel like you know, like okay, like do you ever feel like okay, crap, like this person because you have to worry, like, do you ever worry like they don't like you for you, they like you because you're like this actor, you know? Like, does that ever
What was
like
what
how do you
like?
deal with
But
that? Oh,
say
dating,
that one more time.
dating.
Oh, dating.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
uh, do I ever worry that they'll only like me because I'm an actor? Is that what you said?
Yeah, or like basically like, because I feel like everyone deep down like wants someone to like. That's like, oh, I want people
Yeah,
someone to like me for me. But then like
yeah,
if you're kind of a successful, accomplished guy, like that's no one's ever gonna. No one's ever really gonna like you just for you because like
R-
you're obviously gonna like
right.
you'll never really know, right? Because you have all these things like these
Yeah,
accomplishments or these, you know, these things, right?
yeah. So I'm not well versed in the dating game. It's not like a thing I go into a lot. But anybody I have dated has been in the industry, so they like kind of understand it. They kind of like they have a feel for it already, you know. So I don't know. I have no experience dating somebody who wasn't kind of in the world already. Um, but
Yeah,
yeah,
that
I can
makes sense.
imagine
They like
I can imagine that's difficult.
yeah, they know what to expect. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
but
interesting.
also
So
like
like what's
nobody cares about me like that, you know. Like it's not like oh my god that like nobody. It's that's not a thing that I have to worry about.
not yet, not yet, not yet.
Yeah,
You know, what you're gonna be the
sounds
next
scary.
actor that like yeah, you know, like I feel like everyone's like Ben Affleck's a big director. Like and I think recently
Mhm.
like I think Matt Damon and Ben Affleck announced like they're
Mhm.
doing a joint directing thing. Like it does seem like
Yeah,
directing I mean obviously people it's not they're not the first actors to direct, but it does seem more like maybe there's an increase in that, like having
yeah,
production companies directing.
yeah,
Although I guess it's weird because like they can also just make anything just by casting themselves in it, essentially when they're
yeah.
at that level.
I have so much
Yeah.
respect for those guys who kind of like do it all, who write and produce and direct and act in the same thing they're doing. Like it's so impressive to me. Like Seth Rogen is like one of those guys who can like who writes and produces and acts and like that's super impressive. And Bo Burnham's another dude who like I've been
Oh,
in love with this
did you watch?
guy since yeah,
Well,
of course.
yeah. So you have that $23 pass. You must have watched Eighth Grade, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Eighth Grade was so good. Like it was so.
It's
It's the last
amazing.
movie that I watched. I was like, this is like it really captured. because
Yeah.
it's so. I mean, I'm sure you know it. Like with TV shows, the writers tend to be adults with children. So when they write kids, they're writing them from the perspective of like parents. And
Mm,
like parents don't fully know their kids in the way that like peers would know. And like you
yeah.
could tell like eighth grade, it felt very like, oh, this character feels real and lived in.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like an adult. Like it doesn't feel like an adult is writing the version of a child that
No.
they think they know. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
this person's, you know,
It didn't feel
yeah,
like a 6 foot 4, 27-year-old white dude was writing for an eighth grade
yeah, an eighth
eighth
grade girl
grader.
at that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, an
yeah.
eighth
It's
grade girl.
crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's so
yeah, it was
impressive.
so good.
I've been in love with his work and like who he is since I was a kid. I started off watching him on YouTube, and I've literally everything he's put out since his YouTube days. I've been like, oh, like what's next? Like, huge fan of his stuff. Um, Jim Cummings is another one who he did Thunder Road. I don't know if you ever saw that, but
I'll have to
like
check him out. I'll have to
writer,
check him out.
director, actor, producer, like it's always just so incredibly impressive. When you can
Yeah.
kind of see somebody do it all at once, it's awesome.
Well, yeah, I mean, Kenya Barris is like directing, writing. It's like he's about to direct The Wizard of Oz. Like he's somebody who's just like so.
Yeah,
I mean, to make one network show, let alone like what three, however many,
yeah,
like
it
it's
just keeps
insane.
expanding. No, he's a mastermind.
Yeah, no, he is. Where did you live in North Carolina? Because like I went to high school. I think we probably talked about this when we met. But, like I went to high school in Virginia, and like one thing I love about that like I feel like everyone kind of thinks about like the South. When they think about America, they think about the South. They think about like New York,
Yeah.
Cali. Like that Mid Atlantic is so slept on. Like the one thing I love about like that area is like the weather, right? Like you get all
Oh,
four seasons. Like
yeah,
fall, it looks like a picture, like a postcard of fall. It's like the leaves are
yeah,
that brown color. Then like winter is wintry, but it's not like that New England, Chicago, like cold,
yeah.
super cold winter. It's like it snows, but it's not insane. Then like then the spring is just like it looks like a
Beautiful.
picture book. Like it's beautiful. And then I would never be there
Yeah,
for the summers because I was in school, but like it would be the summer. So I'd be at home.
yeah,
But like summers obviously are like nice and warm. But yeah, I feel like you really just get and like I would meet a lot of kids from like that like Raleigh and like Charlotte and stuff. And like I feel like
yeah,
North Carolina is such a beautiful like like even just like the bluegrass, like the culture. It's like very there's something about that area
yeah.
of the country that it doesn't get appreciated enough.
I agree, especially being in LA for so long. You kind of the weather here is perfect, obviously, but it's like you start to miss the seasons, especially growing up with them. So I love getting to go home for like Thanksgiving and Christmas and all that stuff and actually experience some seasons. I will say the summers are like brutal because it's so humid as well as hot.
Oh yeah, I
But
mean,
like
well, Houston. Yeah, I grew up in Houston, so
yeah, yeah, yeah,
it's like an
it's tough,
armpit.
man. Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
Wait,
I
so
love
where in
getting
North
to.
Carolina?
Do you know High Point or like Greensboro?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, around there.
Yeah, yeah. All the kids like so. I went to a boarding school in Virginia, so it was like all these like kind of like old money ish, sort of like southern, but like like from like Columbia, South, like anywhere from like South Carolina, but like a lot of Raleigh, like Charlotte,
Yeah,
but some High Point, like just Richmond, Virginia, like that whole
yeah,
region was where like everyone was like like some 60, 70, 80% of the kids probably were I mean people from all over, but like especially that region. And like that region has just a specific culture, a specific like just like it's like country, but it's not like Florida country. Like it's not like Alabama. It's not quite
yeah,
like Alabama or Georgia country or Mississippi country. It's like a very specific sort of like bluegrass. Like you have the Blue Ridge Mountains and like like very outdoorsy kind of people like fishing and hunting. And like my high school, we had
yeah.
like a like kids could bring their guns to school. Like like it was like we had like a
Whoa,
gun locker where like kids could go hunting.
what?
Kids could go skeet shooting. Like we had a
Oh
skeet
my
shooting range on
god.
campus. Yeah,
Yeah.
kids like I remember like my freshman year, they're like, okay, hey, like there's like an email that went out, like I'm gonna try to find this email. It was like, hey, kids who are taking your guns home for the break, like meet in the gun room at like
Oh my
um
god.
oh yeah, it
That's
was like
horrible.
it was
Oh my god.
very well, we never had any shootings, but it was very like it was very like Virginia. Like it was very, very
Yeah.
Virginia. Like but yeah, it was like it was very you had to have a kid, a freshman every now and then bring a Confederate flag. It was a little, and they were like, well, it's heritage, not hate or whatever. But yeah, it
Yeah.
was very Southern. But it was like it was a unique experience. But I do like have a lot of like because I went to high school. I went to college in because most kids who went to that school didn't really go north, even apply to schools north of like UVA.
Hmm.
So there were a lot of UVA, some UNC and stuff. So I went to school in Boston, so I never really got a chance to go back. So like that's like a part of my life that I
Yeah.
just never really like got to go back to. So I have like a lot of like kind of like just affinity for like that area and like that time and that region because it's just so
Yeah.
different and specific.
Yeah.
But so
Yeah.
like
I definitely
yeah,
don't. I don't miss those politics about the South at all. Yeah, that's the
so,
crazy stuff, man. Um,
yeah. So
but
it's
yeah, but
definitely different.
definitely
It's not
different.
Los
It's a
Angeles. It's not Los
no,
Angeles,
not at all. Yeah, not
and
at
it's
all.
not New York.
It's yeah, especially like growing up in the industry and being around a bunch of people who are more liberal and more accepting of different things, and it is super weird, like going from that and then coming back home and then like just being around, like hearing some weird shit, like it's just
Yeah,
weird, different
it could
different
get
worlds, man.
yeah, and it's weird because like I mean, so that is like we were like 14, 15, 16, 7, like high school. It's like I don't think some of this was like it was like a lot of like malice. I think it's just like you grow up in a certain culture. You grow up in a certain environment, you grow up in a certain culture, and
Yeah,
like it's just kind of what you know and what's handed down to you.
yeah.
And like I don't think like it was weird. Like the teachers were very like liberal, and then like but the
Mm.
student body was pretty. Like it was pretty. Yeah, it was different.
Yeah,
But
but
I mean, I had a
yeah,
good experience. Like, it opened a lot of doors. I had a good experience. Like,
yeah.
I feel like it served me more or less well. Um, but yeah, it's interesting. So like, what's next for you? Like, what like so you have the short like you're like you do self tapes. You do a bunch of self tapes. You have to shave every now and then. I mean, this thing must grow back fast if you're shaving it for self tapes and it's still this long.
Oh yeah, this is like 3 weeks worth. It's
Okay, that's
about three
solid.
and a
That's
half,
solid.
maybe. Yeah, pretty
Okay,
solid.
so
What's next?
yeah.
Uh, yeah. So like I'm hopping in doing like some recurring stuff here and there. But for in terms of like career, like direction, obviously still acting. Like gonna do that my entire life. Um, but I'm definitely wanting to dive into like directing and starting to make more of my own stuff and start because like I'll write some stuff, but it's about really just going out there and doing it. So that's something that I want to start leaning into a little bit more. I really enjoy it. It really makes me happy. So yeah, I think that's
Well, you
kind of
said
where I'm gonna. Yeah.
yeah. You said some recurring stuff, right? That you're doing
Yeah,
right
I'm right.
now?
Yeah, I'm doing a show called
You're on
Lone Star
Walking
on
Dead,
Fox.
right?
Yeah,
Oh,
The
Lone Star.
Walking
You were
Dead.
on Walking Dead, yeah.
Yeah, I was recurring on The
Yeah.
Walking Dead for a while. They just finished their last season. Just premiered
Wait, what's the order?
last week.
What's the order? So series regular is like more like higher than recurring. So it goes recurring than series regular.
Yeah, so series
You have
regular is like it's usually like most every episode you're in. And then guest star, you kind of like guest star and recurring are the same thing. So you'll kind of just like come in um whenever. Recurring is just like you're in multiple episodes and they'll keep having you back every once in a while for whenever they need you. Yeah. Um.
right. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
it's I say that because you say it so casually, but like like these are things that people are like people move to LA like I hope to someday book book a series regular role or like
Yeah, man.
book a recurring like this is something to put into context for like listeners who aren't in the industry like landing a recurring role or like a series regular especially is like life changing for somebody, right? It's like I mean obviously you want to like the holy grail maybe is starring in your own show, or something like that, but
Yeah.
as far as like a working actor, like landing a recurring, and it might take people years and years and years to get a recurring or to get a series regular, and so yeah, that's
Yeah.
amazing. Just that you're able to like just to be a working actor is such a blessing. I remember one time, I don't know if you're a big like what kind of music you listen to. I listen to like a pretty broad range. Like I was a big fan of Vampire Weekend. Like, and I remember I used to like I would talk to Ezra Koenig like every now and then, like the lead singer. I remember we grabbed coffee once, and he said something that was very true, but also very depressing. Like I was in between shows, like it was after Blackish, but before The Simpsons. I had sold a couple pilots, but I was feeling a little bit sort of like I want to staff. Like when's my next kind of staffing thing?
Yeah.
And he's like, you know what, like as a writer, just being a writer who has been on a show before and like has an agent or a manager, like even if you're not working, you're like better off than like 99% of writers. Like an
Mm.
unemployed writer who has like an agent and like has credits, you're basically better off. And that was like, it was like, I can't tell if that was meant to make me feel better, but it was kind of like crap. Like it just kind of put things in perspective. Like, wow, like, like even me, like in between shows and like not, not and like obviously, and ultimately I did get on The Simpsons, but like that's, it's such a competitive field. It's such a competitive thing that like
Yeah.
people work for years and years and years just to land an agent, just to get a meeting, just to like and to staff on a show. That's like the freaking staff on a show,
Yeah,
especially a
man.
hit show. That's like the whole the same thing for acting as far as like you know um like being a series regular, recurring. What do you do? I mean, obviously you play basketball. Like, what do you do for fun aside from basketball, watching the Rockets develop and playing
Yeah.
yourself?
Yeah. So in movies and TV, like that is my fun. Like that is my passion. That's where it's at. So yeah, just watching a lot of stuff, trying to write a lot of stuff, doing a lot of random bits with my friends. Like that's what I do. I just try to hang out with as many of my really cool, fun friends as I can that keep me inspired, and like we write stuff and we just enjoy each other's company. Yeah, I watch a lot of sports. Um, but
You,
my world is acting and like creating. Like that's where most of my focus and most of my energy is most of the time.
no, that's what. Do you write most? Because obviously the one that you sent me was a comedy. Do you write drama as well?
Yeah. Yeah. So I
Oh, okay.
actually
I
I
have to watch.
don't.
I have to read a drama.
Yeah, yeah, I'll send you some stuff. But it's like I don't have I feel like I don't have a style. Like I know a lot of directors like Quentin Tarantino, Tim Burton, like there's just people who are like it's their movie when you're watching it, like you just the vibe, like Um but I feel like in terms of like my writing, I feel like I haven't written anything that's identical to something else. Um it's kind of just
Well,
whatever
you're
I'm
only
feeling at the moment.
23.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you're only
Yeah.
23. Kind of develop. I mean, it's interesting, right? Like I think that like on the one hand, that's a strength that you can kind of play in different styles. But on the other
Yeah,
hand, like all the strongest writers and like directors, like really writers,
yeah,
it's you could like you could watch a Coen Brothers movie and like not know it, like and no one tell you it's a Coen Brothers movie, and you're like, oh, this is a Coen Brothers movie. Like a
yeah.
Quentin
Right.
Tarantino movie. Well, Quentin Tarantino, you'll know because it's gonna have the N word a lot. JK, I love Quentin Tarantino, or I don't love him, but I don't dislike him. I was just making a joke. But like like you watch like I mean like Seth Rogen, right? Like Super Bad, that
Yeah,
whole kind of aesthetic. Like I think like
yeah.
I think Super Bad's like an incredibly good
It's
movie. Like I'm
great.
like I feel
Yeah,
like it
one of the
really
best.
it felt like it was the first time I felt like, oh, like this sounds the way people talk, right? And I
Yeah,
think that like
yeah,
when, yeah, like something you said earlier about like when you like the way you can recognize bad acting. I feel like I'll read stuff as a writer, like, and people will send. I mean, people look. I'm not judging if you send me something, but like you'll read stuff and it's like, has this person ever like heard a conversation before? Like people don't talk like this,
mm,
and I get it because like with writing,
yeah,
you have to kind of like identify stuff. It's like let's say the audience needs to know that this character's cousin, but people aren't like, hey, what's up my cousin, what's up John, who's
yeah,
my cousin. Like people just do certain things
yeah.
in their writing that's like weird, but I feel like
Right.
it's like I'm sure like when you can recognize bad acting in the same type of way. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know, it's very yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And also when it comes to acting, like I can't even watch myself. Like I think I'm shit. Like like I literally can't do it. So like I hate watching anything I do. I'm always super tough on myself. So like who knows? Who knows what's good or bad?
Well, no,
Like
you're good. No, you're
it's
good. I
tough.
watched the one you sent me. What was the sensei? Well, whatever. I don't know. I don't want to spoil it, but I watched the one you sent me. Obviously we've all watched Homeland. Yeah, I mean, so what are you like most proud of that you've done that you've worked on? Like, what's the thing that you look back
Yeah.
on? You're like, okay, like I'm most proud of this.
Yeah. There was I think it's taken me a long time to like truly be like, oh, I did good here, and it's still it's like really tough for me. Like I kind of got to a point where I can't when I do something like I can't watch it. I think doing that short and having to edit it and spend so much time looking at myself kind of helped with that. that kind of mindset that I was in literally my entire life. And it's still, I still, when something comes out, I'm like, oh, that's horrible. But I've gotten better at it. So I think I died in The Walking Dead in this last season,
Oh
which
no.
was yeah, but it was so much fun doing that death scene. I was like getting ripped apart by zombies, and
Oh yeah,
like
I
that was
see you sometimes post. I see you sometimes post the makeup. I'm like, oh my, this looks so
yeah.
realistic.
Yeah. So like that, I was super proud of because that was something that was like when Angela, the showrunner, she had called and she had told me I was dying and like telling me exactly how I was gonna die and like it was pretty like insane thing. Like it was a lot. I was like, oh wow, like that's awesome. Number one, that they're letting me do that, like they're giving me that opportunity, but like I'm really gonna have to bring it. Like it's a lot. It's heavy.
Mhm.
So that was one of the things where
That's
I
a
got the script. Yeah, I got the script and I was looking at it and I was like, ooh, this is gonna be tough. So being on the other side of that, now that it's over and getting to see that, like I was really proud of how I was able to like kind of calm down and not psych myself out and like just do it. So that I was proud of. And then yeah, the short that I made
what?
with my friends, like I was just
Yeah.
super proud of that too.
Are you a character actor? Like, oh no.
Uh
That's not what I meant. A method actor, not a character actor. A
oh
character actor is
ye-
like the guy, someone who gets. I'm trying to think of a good example of who's a character actor.
yeah.
Like someone who gets brought back, basically plays the same type of character each
Mm.
across. But yeah, I mean, are you a method actor? Like, so I feel like some people get
Um
really into their like they give their characters backstories and stuff. And I'm like, okay, like just act,
y-
please.
Yeah, so I'm definitely not. I don't. Yeah, no. I don't like have anything against people that do it. I'm like it's very impressive. But like me personally, I don't. I like it's a balance. I every time I go on set, I want to be like super respectful and super kind and like super conscious of everybody else and how they're doing and all of that. And I feel like it's healthy to kind of like distance yourself from the whatever character you're doing. For me at least. So yeah, in between takes, I want to be hanging out and like enjoying people and talking to people and getting to like learn about their families and stuff and like the normal
Yeah.
conversations. Um,
Well, okay, that's yeah. But do you like give your character like a backstory? Like, do you like how like and just okay? First of all, so a character actor is an actor who frequently plays like a distinctive and important supporting role. Like there's some examples. Like John Goodman, Steve Buscemi, probably the best example.
mm,
And a method actor is somebody who like a method actor is basically somebody who's like, oh, I was preparing like Heath Ledger in The Joker is kind of a good example. I don't know if he would call himself, the late Heath Ledger, but like I don't know if he would call himself a method actor, but it's like basically I'm like even when the cameras are off, I'm like still the Joker. Like I'm still like basically like
mm,
when I go home and I go to sleep, I'm the Joker. Like I'm inhabiting like I'm this character. I'm fully being this character like even in my regular life. But I just remember like I remember there's like a scene we were shooting something I was working on, and like the actor like the line went a certain way, and one of the actors was like, oh well, I wouldn't like my character wouldn't just let this other character talk to her that way. Like she would respond. I'm like, oh, just say that like
mm,
like it's like you're overthinking this. Like just say the line so we can like
mm,
so we can like get to the next scene.
yeah,
Like I feel like
I think
some actors kind of
I
get too into it.
Yeah. I definitely can respect it when people are like fully in it. And it's like whatever process helps get the best result because like we're all here to make something that's good, something that like matters to us and so I think if somebody is like super into it, as long as they're being respectful and like thoughtful while doing it and like not just disregarding other people in a way that they can like, well, I'm not really myself, I'm this person. I don't know if it's ever like that. I don't know if it's ever really that extreme, but I also haven't worked with
Yeah,
anybody who took it that extreme. And like
yeah. I mean, it
for
was
Heath,
yeah,
yeah, for Heath Ledger, I remember seeing like he wasn't like in between takes he was Heath Ledger. Like he wasn't like this crazy Joker the entire time. Um, but I definitely see how like it could when you're doing something that intense, it could take a couple of seconds or it could take like a few minutes to kind of get into it or set yourself up for that kind of thing. Because like just flipping that on a dime is insane. And then like Damian Lewis, he is obviously like he's from the UK. He has an accent. He's British. So when he was on
yeah.
set, he would always talk an American accent and an English accent, or American accent. Um,
Oh,
so like that is method, I guess you could say. Like it's like
yeah.
sometimes
Well,
people
it's
do
also
things
weird.
to. Yeah.
Well, okay, how is it that they're so able to talk in our accents but we can't talk? Like, why are the British so good at talking in American
They're
accents? But
so
like
good,
we're
and
like we're never. It's so weird.
they're always phenomenal actors too. They're always classically trained. Like they're so natural, so good, and they're doing an American accent at the same time. I'm so jealous. I don't know. Something's in the water over there. I don't know what it is, but yeah, there's so many good
But
British actors.
yeah, I think they're like classically trained. Like I don't know, it's weird. Also, it says I think Paul Dano claimed that he like that he like he said he was talking about doing the being the Riddler in the recent Batman. He's like, I went home that night
Yeah.
after the first full day in that, and I almost couldn't sleep because I was scared of what was happening to my head. It was like compressed from the
Wow.
sweat and the heat and the it was so I don't know if that's method acting or more just like the outfit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is. I mean, actors
Right.
like I gained such an appreciation for actors. Like you all take the writer's words and just bring them to life in such a unique way that it's just like I said, I tried to like this one little thing I wrote. I try to act and like I was acting alongside Keith Powers, who's like a real actor. He was in like he's been in a
Mm.
bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
And like I was just like, oh wait, like I'm just like this is just not my like this is not the gift that God has given me. So
Yeah.
I definitely like. So
Yeah.
do you have any advice like for like anyone who's like watching, who like or listening, watching, who like it's like, hey, like I'm a kid in Boca Raton, I'm a kid in Dallas, but like I want to someday
Yeah.
be where you are. Like what would your advice be to that person?
My advice would be watch a lot. Um, don't think you're better than you are. Like you're never at a place where you're the best. And like we were talking about before, even some of the biggest actors in the world have like coaches and are like constantly trying to get better and working. So like never stop trying to get better. Go easy on yourself because there's a lot of rejection, and I'm also talking to myself at the same time. So it's like
Yeah.
don't be too hard on yourself. Like it, at the end of the day, we're doing this because we love it. We're doing it because it makes us happy. It makes other people happy. You're giving you're articulating things and making people feel things that they have trouble feeling themselves or whatever it is. So do it out of service. It's not for you. It's for everyone else. Like take some pressure off of it. We're here. Like it's not this big. It doesn't have to be this big thing. Um,
Yeah. And also
yeah.
only date
Go.
other people in the industry. Date other people in the industry, apparently.
Yeah.
That's a secret. Okay, where can people find you?
Oh,
Like
find
on,
me.
online.
Yeah. I'm
Not like in person.
Yeah, right. Find me at Starbucks on the corner of yeah. Um, you can find me on Instagram. I'm not really super active on Twitter. I actually have a sports burner on Twitter where I talk about the Rockets, but like totally
Do you argue with
undercover.
people? Do you argue with people? Ooh,
Sometimes I
when I
do.
was
Yeah, yeah. It's a burner. Like it's like I was like I
yeah.
can say anything. Sometimes I argue
Oh
with
yeah, no,
people, but
when you're really
only
into it, like you just start I like
yeah,
started to like not really hate Steph Curry, but like I like fake hate Steph Curry. Like I don't really hate him, but
yeah,
like I like kind of fake hate him because like I mean
yeah,
the like we just kept ranking that freaking buzzsaw every year, and it's like I don't know,
yeah.
like
They're great,
I worked on
man.
a pilot. Yeah, I worked on a pilot with KD, and like I got to meet Steph and Kevin and like
Yeah,
Draymond, and like so I don't like actually hate him, but like gosh, like and I get like they just win again, like just it's just annoying. I really,
yeah.
I want hard. Like, I really
Man,
want
gotta
Harden to win a
respect
ring.
it. I do too.
You do. I really want Harden to win a ring. I really want him to.
Yeah.
I hope this is the year. The Sixers seem to be doing all right with even with Harden out. It's, but you know what's the thing that kind of makes me sad is like if Harden wins with the Sixers, like he'll win as like the like the second best player probably, or like the 1B, and like Rockets Harden was just so good. Like, he doesn't have
He
the same
was.
burst these days. Like Rockets Harden deserved to win a ring. Like that player,
I
that
agree.
team, Chris Paul, even like Chris, like I worry that Chris Paul would never win a ring. Like I feel like Chris Paul, like anyone who watched that team, like Chris Paul was the heart of that team. Like he like
Yeah.
there's a part of me that like I like kind of half jokingly feel like if it had been Harden who missed game 6 and 7, the Rockets would have still won that series just because
Mm.
like that's like a little bit silly, but like I just like Chris Paul just has this dog in him that's like he's such a competitor and like a winner. And not say that Harden isn't, but like we all know, like Harden likes the strip club. Harden likes like the Instagram models. Like like and the fact that he can juggle those things and still be that good. Like I really like. I generally think that part of the vendetta that the NBA has against Harden, which I do think they have a bit of a vendetta against him because they robbed him of at least one. Like he should have won the MVP that Russell Westbrook won, and he should have won, and like
The one with
he
Giannis.
arguably could have won. You know what? I was thinking
Yeah.
at first about I think the 15-16, the one that Steph Curry won, that like or the
Mm.
14-15, I think that Steph Curry won. But yeah, now that I'm like thinking about it, what was like list of
Well,
NBA like
Giannis is
the
crazy.
one with
Giannis
Giannis,
is great.
yeah,
But I think the one that Giannis won was the same year that Harden went on like that historical, like crazy
yeah,
scoring run. And so
it
like that
was.
one, I was like,
So
ugh. I think
yeah,
Harden should have
I
won
can't
that one.
remember. Yeah, I can't remember if it was okay. I think 14-15 was like fair. Like basically, there was a year that like Steph won. I think it might have been 15-16 because Steph won back to back. It was one of them
Yeah.
that I feel like okay, Harden. Well, okay, which was the year they went like 73-9? Because obviously, like you're not going to take it away from them when they went 73-9. Oh, that was 2016,
Yeah.
right? That was 2016 because that was the year. Okay, so fine.
That's the
14-15, 14-15, I feel like Harden had a good argument, and then 16-17, like Russell Westbrook was like what, like I think a 6 seed.
he averaged a
Like
triple double. He averaged a triple
yeah, but he
double.
did
I
that.
think it was,
Yeah,
which is like that was
yeah.
which was I yeah, for
But
a
then he did
full
it the
season.
next 2 years and no one
Yeah, that
cared.
one made more.
Yeah,
I know.
but then he did
Yeah.
it like the next 2 years and no one cared. Like it was like harder should have like.
Yeah.
But I do think the NBA has like a bit of a vendetta against him because they always change the criteria of like they would always change the criteria of it. Like, does it matter like if you're the best team or does it matter more if you're like the individual?
Right.
And I generally feel like the fact that Harden like is this like he is this like unmarried guy who like 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 LeBron's very marketable. Even though LeBron has a bunch of tattoos, I think like Allen Iverson really like ended the stigma against tattoos. Sort of like Allen Iverson by being a superstar, but like looking the way he did, like kind of broke that stigma. So like you know like I feel like LeBron is marketable. He's got a he's got like a family. He's got his cute kids. Yeah, the Thunder were a 6 seed by the way. He's got his cute kids. He's like really marketable. Like Westbrook has his like kids and his wife, and like Steph Curry. I mean, oh my, Steph Curry brings Riley Curry up there, and it's like, oh wow, like he's so amazing. And so, and he's got like Aisha. Like this sounds like a conspiracy theory, but I genuinely think that like Harden's just not as marketable because he doesn't have like the kind of he's not this like family man. Like Giannis also has this amazing story of like Giannis is married too, and I think has a kid, but like Giannis also has this amazing story of like being this like refugee in in Greece. Also, I have a beef with him
Yeah.
because he's Nigerian. He claims Greece. He's like the Greek freak, and I know he didn't grow up in Nigeria, but come on, like claim us, like claim us more. Listen to Afro beats, eat jollof rice, eat the food. I'm going on a freaking whole rant here. I'm sorry, but like, yeah, I really think that like Harden gets screwed because he doesn't have like a kind of like a squeaky clean image. Like he's been in, like even when he was in Houston, it was like a situation where like some allegedly, some dude got beat up allegedly on Harden's orders, like Moses Malone Jr. It's like he doesn't have the squeaky clean image. Like he doesn't, pictures of him in strip, the stripper, the Instagram model thing. But I feel like that takes away. Like I feel like people don't want to reward him. I'm sorry. I'm just a Harden homer.
Yeah.
But I really
Yeah.
hope
I
that he
love the guy.
wins.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. I
mean,
hope
he's
he
just.
gets
I
one
mean,
too.
the step back, like like watching that, like nothing will ever make me feel like watching that. I don't want to say nothing because that's like kind of sad. Like I hope to like someday like feel the love of like a woman and like family and like kids or something probably. But like short of like true love, nothing will make me feel the way that like 17-18 team. Like I mean, like when they went like they were down 2-1, they won games 4 and 5. Like I think that's like them winning games 4 and 5. Like if I was tracking like my life, just like my life happiness, like on a chart,
Yeah.
like
That's peak.
they're gigantic spikes. They're like gigantic
Yeah.
spikes. Like I remember like Eric Gordon hitting a 3-pointer and like just these moments where it's like they're really gonna do this. They're really gonna
Yeah.
beat the freaking Warriors.
Yeah.
And then we thought
It's
that Chris
tough.
Paul was gonna be back for like maybe he'll sit out game 6, but he'll be back for game 7. And I'm just getting
Yeah.
sad. Let's end on a high note.
Yeah.
What's like something that's brought you? Yeah, what's something that's brought you joy lately? Basketball's been bringing me joy. Like going to the gym, playing with
Yeah.
some dude. It's like a Saturday morning set of dudes who play, and like a Sunday morning set of dudes who play. Like the Saturday dudes are more like kind
Yeah.
of my age, like late 20s, early 30s. The Sunday dudes are more like kind of like 40-year-old, like 40s and early 50s. And so it's like
Yeah.
like that's been bringing me some joy. Like just playing on
Yeah.
the weekends and like
Yeah.
recording this podcast, getting to connect with all my friends around creatives. That's been bringing me some joy. What's been bringing you some joy as we wrap this up?
Man, just good friends, good company, man. I have a really, really solid group of loving friends who are super supportive. And it really helps being out here with so much uncertainty all the time. Like it's just good to have, those people you can rely on in your life. That you got their back, they got yours. So yeah, just hang out with my friends, going to Six Flags, doing whatever. Yeah, man.
That's good. Do you keep in touch with people from like you've worked with, by the way, like just across like Homeland or other places, or just more like in and out?
Yeah, yeah. So I like there's a few people from each thing that I keep in touch with, or like, and there's some people I reach out every once in a while. But yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
I've made a lot of
like
really great connections, some really cool friends along the way. So I try to keep in touch with them, and I like to see where their career goes. Like anytime I see them in something, I hit them up, and I'm like, hey, you
yeah,
guys did great, whatever. Yeah, definitely, I try
yeah.
to.
No, yeah, in my head, there's like a Homeland group chat with like Damian Lewis and like Claire Danes and like everybody, and like you guys just like send memes back and forth.
Yeah,
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 that's awesome.
exactly.
Well, all right, well, it was good catching up. We're gonna have to do this again. Like, see, I mean, hopefully, maybe the Rockets get Wembanyama, maybe
Oh, dude, if the Rockets get Wembanyama, we're doing another podcast just about him.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. I mean, it's and I'm gonna try and like you're right, like rebuilding is a process, and I do think that like you're right. I think that like watching the Rockets for all those years with like Katino Mobley and Steve Francis and just kind of like
Mm,
being okay and then being good and then being bad, like that made the late like that 17, 18, 19, even 19, 20, that bubble season, that made that stuff even more rewarding. So yeah, I think I'm gonna like I'm not gonna like I'll check out like I know that they've got Dacian Nix, like I'm vaguely aware, like I know Terry Easton's been balling out, like
Tari's
um
crazy, man. I love that
and I know
guy.
Jabari Parker's getting a little bit better. Like he's improving.
Yeah,
Obviously, Jalen Green's been like,
Jabari Smith.
oh yeah, yeah. How do I say Jabari
Yeah,
Parker?
yeah.
Jabari Smith. Thank you. I appreciate that. I don't know how to
Yeah,
correct
he
that.
was an Auburn
Yeah.
guy. I was pumped when we got him.
Oh yeah. So that's yeah. So Cam Newton. Yeah. I mean
Yeah,
that's yeah. It's amazing how much joy you can get from sports. How much sadness
yeah,
too.
yeah,
but
yeah,
but
yeah.
how much
It makes you
like not
wonder if
having
it's
anything
worth it.
on it. Oh yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, gosh. Man, and like you also when your friends know that like the guy Anthony Barr, who hopefully by this time we will have recorded, but like he'll just like needle me, like he'll just text me something like when the Rockets like have a tough loss, he'll just be like, oh, and he was a Laker fan, so you remember the Lakers beat the Rockets in the bubble season, which I
Yeah.
blame on Daniel House having breaking the breaking the COVID protocol. I blame that on Daniel House. I think that
Yeah.
he had to leave the bubble because of whatever, and yeah. Anyway, so I mean, also like Westbrook was hurt. I mean, look, everyone's gonna be like you're making excuses, but whatever. But he would just kind of needle me and be like, oh yeah, like you guys are never gonna win. Basically, like we'll have a tough loss. He'll just text me. So I like your friends
Mm.
kind of give you a hard time, and it like I joke about it, but I do really think that sports like the pandemic didn't feel real to me until the NBA like canceled, like stopped playing. Like I remember they were
Yeah,
like
that
talking
was
about, oh, they're
wild.
looking into I remember they were like looking into playing games without fans, and then I was like, oh, that's silly. Like, they would never do that. And then they like ended up just canceling altogether. I was like, wait, like I remember like started hiking in LA. I was so bored that I started hiking. Like I was just like go to I was living in Calabasas or something at the time, and I just like was hiking. I was just bored. Like there was nothing. And I think that's
Yeah.
part of the reason also why the death of Kobe hit people so hard. Like I've never seen so many people, especially black men, like openly weeping. Like black dudes have this kind of masculine exterior, and it's like sports really like does there's something about it like that just really like it hits you right here. Anyway,
Yeah.
man, yeah, thank you for your time. We're gonna have to do this again.
Absolutely.
The Rockets get Wemby. I'm gonna look out for you on a bunch of stuff because I know like I was looking at your like Wikipedia and I was like, crap, this guy's been in so much stuff besides Homeland. Like it's like you're like the prototypical like working actor. Like you're always in something, which is like so hard to do in like, such a competitive field. So
It does not
definitely like
feel like that. So I I appreciate it. I appreciate the
well,
compliment.
yeah, no, yeah. I mean, your IMDb is legendary, your Wikipedia is legendary, and I know you got a lot of stuff going forward too. So yeah, man, thank you for joining me.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you having me.
All right, later.
Thank you.
That's the episode. If you like the conversation you just heard, make sure to like, comment, rate, review, subscribe. Any other engagement verbs I'm forgetting, leave a 5-star review on Apple. That apparently really helps the algorithm. Yeah, follow the show on TikTok, on Instagram, Twitter. Follow myself. My Instagram and everything is DSONOIKI. If you didn't like what you just heard, still do all those same things, please. Thank you.